Welcome to the Informed Pregnancy and Parenting Podcast, empowering new and soon-to-be parents to make informed choices pertaining to pregnancy, childbirth, and parenting. I'm Dr. Elliot Berlin, prenatal chiropractor, childbirth educator, and labor doula, living and practicing in Los Angeles, California. Today we are chatting about empowered birth and double standard, twins and other types of birth that used to be standard and no longer are. And we have an obstetrician who practices literally out of the box, a power couple who had 3 babies at home under his care, and my guest host, Kira Soltanovich, a hilariously entertaining comedian, writer, actor, and producer, and most recently, reproducer. Kira has a 1-hour stand-up special on Amazon that was shot while she was 7 months pregnant called You Did This to Me. She co-hosts a game show called Winsanity, and she has a popular parenting podcast of her own called The Kira Soltanovich Show. I'm really thrilled that you're here with us today. Laughter to me is medicine, and with so much fear and judgment around pregnancy and childbirth, we need that kind of medicine. So thanks for doing what you do, and thanks for being here.
I'm ecstatic to be here. It's my favorite topic to talk about.
Birth? Or
everything, just
twins?
Anything kid related.
Everything is your favorite.
Everything is my favorite.
Of recent, did you ever talk about babies before you had them?
No, before I had kids, no.
Did you hate people that talked about kids all the time? Oh my God, enough about your baby.
I didn't hate them, but it's like someone that has a gluten intolerance. You're like, all right, I get it.
Right.
You know, but now I have kids, so that's all I want to talk about.
Sometimes I have a kid intolerance, but it's seasonal. We have Dr. Stuart Fischbein of the College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, published author, lecturer, and advocate, who now works directly with home birthing midwives. In addition to attending general birth, he offers hope for those who cannot find supportive practitioners for VBAC, twins, and breech deliveries. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Elliot.
Also, you got your breakout in that movie, Heads Up.
Yeah, I got my IMDb credit now.
Was that your first credit?
Yes, it was.
Of many to come, I'm sure.
Wait, what movie are you talking about?
It's called Heads Up, the action thriller.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
The
you were
disappearing
incredible
art
in
of
that.
vaginal
You were
breech
incredible.
delivery. You can find
Your
it.
performance was very believable.
Yeah. How many
Really?
takes?
Was the back of my head good?
No.
How many takes was that birth scene for you? How many times did you make her do that?
Back to one.
Before you had it the way you liked it?
Shove the baby back
We don't.
inside.
Yeah, we don't get too many chances
Yeah,
at that.
no
Right.
takes. And then we have Sarah Shahi and Steve Howey. Sarah, yay!
Yay!
Woohoo!
Sarah Shahi has appeared in numerous feature films and television series, including recently the Warner Brothers CBS espionage thriller Person of Interest, and also starred in USA Network's Fairly Legal, for which she received the 2012 Gracie Award for Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Breakthrough Role.
That's great.
It was, yeah.
I've made love to that Gracie Award.
I was
That's too
hoping
much
to-
information.
I was hoping to get that Gracie Award, but
What does a Gracie Award look like, by the way?
What does it look like? I
It's
don't remember.
smooth.
well, at least it is now.
It has curves.
Is it solid or is it like?
It's solid.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's solid.
Okay.
All right.
Is it one of your favorite awards to make love to?
No. There's other
What's your
ones.
other
Don't
one
say
that you like?
Oscar.
I think the Dubai International Film Festival is the other one.
That one's hot.
Yeah, it's so hot.
We can take a poll.
Hey,
God.
Sarah will also be playing the iconic crime-solving gumshoe Nancy Drew in a totally rebooted take of the classic detective series for CBS Drew, which I'm really excited
Big.
about.
That is
'cause
big, by the way. That's really cool.
It's huge, and I also hate reading, so it'll be nice for me
Your next
to
birth.
make up
Your
for
next
lost
birth is
time.
going to cost you.
Oh yeah.
oh, jeez. That's
Yep.
the next podcast about how vasectomies happen after twin home
After
birth.
twins?
Yeah.
That's
Oh
our
my
follow-up
God! Did that
podcast.
happen already?
No.
No. Resist as long as you can.
But
Really?
Yeah.
really,
Oh, yeah.
why?
Because you make good babies.
Oh.
God, everybody says that.
Yeah. Nancy Drew can get pregnant, can't she?
It's not even Sarah. The Gracie Award is pushing for him to get the tubes tied. She's nervous.
Oh.
Steve Howey
Yay. Who?
currently stars on Showtime's award-winning series Shameless and has a long list of television and film credits. Steve was born in San Antonio, Texas, and spent his early childhood growing up on sailboats with his parents. Steve currently enjoys riding his motorcycle, martial arts, coaching new talent, and competitive shooting. What don't we have in common? Welcome to the podcast. All right.
Why don't you read Sarah's hobbies?
Well, Sarah's also from Texas. Is this true?
That's true.
What are your hobbies?
Making babies.
3 down. We are going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Speaking of making babies, you guys have together 3.
That's true.
So, first of all, how'd you meet?
How did we meet? Oh yeah, I was a guest star. He was on a show called Reba, and I was a guest star, and I couldn't stand him. And I'll give you the line because it's my favorite line, and it's the one that got me. So we went out to eat. I couldn't stand him, but of course I still went out with him. And he looked at me and he grabbed my face and he looked into my eyes and he said, "As long as I have a face, you have a place to sit."
It was our first date.
That's so funny.
So romantic.
I know.
I thought I was the only one he said that to.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I can't wait to hear how he proposed.
Oh. So
I threw a pie in her face. True story.
Really?
well,
Yeah.
because when I was
What kind of pie?
when I was 13, I kind of made this agreement with myself that whoever threw a pie in my face was the man I was going to marry.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I would tell this to various boyfriends, and I would have guys that would send me pies. They'd buy me a piece of pie. They'd ask me, "Would you like a pie?" And it was no, it's like, no, you have to have the fucking balls. Throw the goddamn pie in my face. And then
Nobody would do it?
Nobody did it.
That just seems so easy.
I know, right? And nobody did it. Everyone thought it was like a.
I wish it was that easy.
And then when it was on my 27th birthday, he got the pie, and I had my family was in town, everyone was at the house, it was great. And then I remember I walked into a room and he was standing right on the other side, and it just went right in the face.
Good shot.
And yeah.
Pictures? Are there pictures of this?
There are pictures.
Yeah.
There
I
are
want pictures.
Yeah, I'll give you some pictures.
Can we podcast a picture?
Yeah, of the pie? Of the
I guess.
What kind of pie? Because
it
we
was
have
just, it was just a whip. It was like a can of
Fake pie.
whipped cream.
Oh, you made just a
It
okay.
was just a whipped cream thing, but
I'm just saying we can probably get a pie sponsor.
It's like a Mrs. Doubtfire situation, right?
Yeah,
When
exactly.
Mrs. Doubtfire, she just
And the
like
pie starts dripping.
"Ooh."
but
Very
yeah.
nice. That's
Yeah.
so sweet. My husband proposed. It was so romantic. I was peeing on one of those sticks. And I could cry thinking about it. He said, "I have a question for you in 3 minutes." Or I don't have a question for you in 3 minutes. So
Really? Are you serious?
so sweet. I mean, don't make me cry.
No, it's great. I'm getting teary-eyed because I think we can also get a stick sponsor. So
Yeah,
this is
we
exciting.
should.
This is going to be a rich podcast.
He is a
First
marketing
response.
genius.
Yeah, no kidding.
First response
First responders.
and lifesavers. Because did he have a ring?
Yes, he did.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah. If
Just
you
in
call it
case.
a ring. I mean,
guess we could.
right? Am I right, ladies? I don't know anything about jewelry.
Lemon lime?
I don't care. I really don't care.
How long were you together before you got married?
Before we got 7 years.
It's a long time.
Is it really?
Who was holding? I mean, I'm Orthodox Jewish. It's like more than 7 minutes, and it's like, what's wrong with you guys? It's going to
Yeah.
work out.
I don't know.
Wait, what? What's the question?
Yeah. Who was holding back? Was one of you
I don't know. It was none of us were holding.
No,
back.
we were just having fun. We were
Careers
just
taking
traveling,
off.
and
It was just marriage was never something I had to do. Actually, kids were never anything I had to do. I never wanted to get married. I never wanted to have kids.
Look at us now.
I know, and I was just very happy to go along being this, just boyfriend girlfriend. And I think the only reason we got married.
because you got pregnant.
No.
Oh,
Well, kind of, but he proposed. You proposed in Hawaii, and the proposal was
Pie?
no. The proposal, we're out to dinner, but he won't even look at me. He won't even, acknowledge me. Like, he won't talk to me, and I'm like, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah," but he won't even look at me. And then the waitress came by and he orders this really great bottle of champagne. And I'm like, "Well, if you don't like the place, we can go," because he won't make eye contact. And then he gets down on one knee and he goes, "It's time." I'm like, "It's time? It's time for what? What is the time for? Do you remember this?"
oh yeah.
And then he said, "We're not getting any older." And or any younger. We're not getting any younger. And I'm like, it's time and we're not getting any younger? What are you talking about? I'm like, what? And I'm like, Steve, whatever it is, it's not that big of a deal. Just say it. And he was like, okay, will you marry me? And I went, what? What? It was kind of like my reaction when Dr. Stu told us we were having twins, actually. It was really similar to that. And
I remember that day.
Just as shocking.
And,
Less cuss words. You cussed a lot more when you found out you're having twins.
Oh,
we
yeah.
were having twins.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was... Oh, I really wish we had that recorded. But yeah, there we go.
I think we should
13 years
recreate
later.
it. We should try to recreate it soon.
Let's recreate how the twins were conceived. Let's just recreate.
Well, it was...
Do you have a turkey baster?
It ended with me like doing a handstand with my legs up in the air, like one of those things.
Oh, okay, cool. So, like me every night, basically. That's our foreplay.
How did it begin?
for us.
What gymnastics were involved?
Yeah.
So you did the whole thing where you put your legs over your head.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just... I really...
That's the twins you're talking about.
Yeah.
We have jumped ahead.
Yeah.
How soon after you got married did you have a wolf, your first?
About 4 months.
You conceived. You had him.
Had him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Shotgun wedding.
So it was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, it's time. We're not getting any older. And
We got engaged. We were engaged for about a year and a half.
Oh, before that.
We were
Okay.
engaged for a year and a half before we got pregnant. And then the only reason we got married is because there was this party promoter guy in Vegas that said he would throw us a great big, like if I opened up a club, then he would fly 20 of my friends and family in for this club. And he said, well, why don't we just get married? And I said, okay, sure. So then we got married at the Elvis Chapel and they paid for everything. And it was great.
That's great. We have, I mean, my whole purpose in bringing you to the podcast was to see if you want to have a fourth kid.
Right now.
Yeah. We'll fly a couple of your friends out.
We
to,
have the award, too, if that gets you guys in the mood.
That's true. We have a whole case
Bring
of
it
awards.
out.
Set them
We have a whole
in
case
the
of
mood,
awards.
right.
I think I walked into the wrong podcast.
We're getting to that.
Oh, you're here.
We're almost up to the reproductive era. It's 4 months after the nuptials.
Yeah.
So, okay. So,
Yeah. And we did a home birth with Wolf.
yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, that's 1% of the population does a home birth. So it's each one, I find each one has a story. So what did you think about birth? When did you decide home birth versus hospital, and why?
Well, we were just a normal couple that was pregnant, and we went into and met an OBGYN, and we were having our schedule meetings, and we're talking about our birth plan and the hospital that we were going to go to and the room that we were going to get and all that. And then one of Sarah's friends, I think she just had a home birth, right? She had one, and she's like, you guys got to, watch this movie. Ricky Lake had that movie, The Business of Being Born.
Also very good acting.
Great.
And we saw that, and we were like, huh, okay. So we didn't even know it was possible.
To have a baby at home?
To have a baby.
On purpose.
On purpose,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's on the timeline.
It's not, the information is not
Can only happen by accident.
readily available. And we were just like, I think a lot of people, we were uninformed, unaware, and fearful because of, birth is, you're supposed to do the hospital. So as we had more time to think about it, we did more research. We started talking, and one of my best friends that I went to high school with, his mom is a doula, Yvonne Novak.
Oh,
And
super doula.
We talked to her, and she was just like, just amazing and open and so positive and so enthusiastic. And it started giving us more courage, and it was really Sarah's decision. And she just said, I want to do this. And I was like, all right, I got your back.
That's what I told her when I met her.
And you did.
That's all right. I got your back.
You did have my back.
I actually remember the day I met you both. I'm going to get there in a minute.
And then we started meeting midwives, and we met Davy
So
Colsa.
you guys were on the same page at the same time for home birth.
It took a while to get there.
For both of you?
Not for me. I mean, for me, it was pretty instant. Once I talked to my friend, and the thing with me is, I had an OBGYN, and I was going to her very regularly, and me being pregnant was a really big deal for she and I. And, you know, she said she was going to clear her whole month of July so she could be there for me. And she made me feel very special. And then I was working with this producer who I was on a show at the time, and the producer, and I said, well, what happens if I go into labor and I'm at work? And they're like, oh, it never happens like that. You schedule your C-section, you go in, the baby's out 10 minutes later, you come back to work. Like, it's just, it's over like that. And I just thought, wait a minute, hold on. That's not what I want. It's not what I envisioned. And at that point I was probably 8 weeks pregnant. You know, I just found out I was pregnant. And then my girlfriend, that's exactly how it was. And my girlfriend did this home birth, and she told us about the video. So then I watched the video, and I felt such a connection to, you know, my body and what I was meant to do. And my mom had 3 births at the hospital, but she didn't use any pain medication or any, what are they called? Epidurals? Sure. Yeah, she didn't use anything. They're all natural and vaginal. And I thought, why not? Of course I can do this. I'm no less than anybody else in this video. I can do this. And he, in the beginning, was a little apprehensive, you know, because he, you know, it's birth. It's his first child, our first child. You know, what if something happens? And it's the most divided my family is in Texas. My family and I have ever been was over home birth, because my mom and I are very close.
Your mom wasn't into it? She was worried about you?
She was scared.
Yeah.
She was really scared. And I remember I sent...
Do you know about your birth?
I know it was in the hospital. And I know she did it without anything.
No drugs?
No drugs. You know.
But she had a good experience?
I'm sorry?
She have a good experience?
She had a great experience. But you know, it's different. My mom was a foreigner. You know, she had been in this country for a year before she had me. So there was a whole language thing.
Where's she from?
Iran. Both my parents are Persian. And so her experience, though it was good, there was still some fear involved because she was out of her element, you know. But the body does what the body does. And her whole thing was, have it natural, but please have it in a hospital.
That's what she wanted for you.
Yeah, in case something goes wrong. I'm like, but nothing's going to go wrong. And I'm making this decision, and you really can't say stuff like that to me after I make this decision. So we were very divided. And I remember this one time where I meant to send the text message to Steve, but I accidentally sent it to my mom. And it was like, it's really unfortunate that my mom is such a bitch right now, and I can't share any of this with her. Remember that? And I accidentally sent it to my mom.
Oh!
And, you know, as I push send, I'm like, wait, no, but you can't unsend. And that was kind of a blessing in disguise, because she softened after that. We never talked about it, but her attitude changed.
I'm going to try that with some of my relatives.
I'm going to text my mom right now. This is not meant for you.
But also,
this is meant for my husband.
Right.
You don't preface it. I'm doing it incorrectly.
I have some choice emojis I'm sending my mother over here right now.
Totally messed up.
Oh.
But, and also I should mention, my stepdad is a doctor.
What kind?
A GP. Just that's what they're called, right? Just general. Yeah, okay. So he was also full of fear factors. Lots of fear factors. And but we went.
But you were on board.
I was so
on board.
On board. I was so hardcore
and Steve
on board.
was almost on board.
I had to. Yeah, we met the doula. We met Yvonne. She gave us a lot of information. It was just information.
And you were working with a midwife. You were looking at midwives originally.
We were looking at midwives. We interviewed midwives. Met David Kulsov. Fell in head over heels for Davey. And we started. And I switched over at 16 weeks. I remember I asked my OB, I had a set of questions. I went in and I said, okay, if I'm gonna test her. If she passes this test, maybe I'll stay with her. I might stay with her. Right. But it was questions like, can I deliver in any position I want to? And she said, well, no. And I said, well, why not? And she kind of looked at me like, where is this going? And she said, well, because I need to be in a position where I can catch the baby. And I said, well, why can't you just catch the baby no matter what position I'm in? And she just didn't answer. And then I said, okay, all right.
It's not like the orientation changes of where things are.
Right.
Right. It may not be right in her face, but if your head's there, the baby's going to be over there.
And
is that true? Am I making that up?
Well, she flunked geometry when she was
the problem.
Yeah. So it's just,
you always wonder why geometry is going to be important later on, and that's why.
That's why.
A
triangle could be a pyramid, or it could be a chalice, I guess, right?
Yeah. Chalice.
No,
chalice.
It is. Listen, as somebody who worked in the hospital for 28 years before I left, it was, you've seen it. All the first breaches I did them all with somebody on their back, because it was oriented to the way I was comfortable doing things. And, then I realized that the the trend is to be on all fours now, or at least let a woman go in any position she wants to, a birth stool, all fours, whatever. And so that's okay. But it you know, when you're only used to doing one thing one way, it's sort of uncomfortable. Plus the whole idea of natural childbirth to your physician was probably a little bit outside her box.
Do you spend more money now on chiropractors? Since you support birth in
You
any
should
position.
know.
Yeah, I know. I do. That's why I support birth in any position.
Yes, I'm a silent sponsor of this podcast,
That's right.
actually.
Join the club.
So am I.
So
No,
you want
yeah.
to deliver in any position you
Yeah,
want to.
she said no. And then I asked her, I said, well, what if I get hungry? And she's like, well, you can suck on some ice. And I'm like, but what if I'm hungry? And she's like, well, you might vomit. And I'm like, but you're a doctor. What's wrong with vomit? And I just didn't understand, you know, it was like, but the pieces were really, you know, everything was falling into place for me. I understood where I was like, okay, now, yeah, I see how this relationship is not going to work for me anymore. And breaking up with her was actually kind of hard.
to do?
It was a little bit because
You
she
didn't
had.
have Steve do it?
Did you
No.
text Steve? God, my OB's such a bitch right
Did you
now.
text? Did you
But
text
then
the
send
OB?
it to her instead.
I love my OB, but she's being such a bitch
Such
right
a
now.
bitch. Oops.
But honestly, it was the best decision I ever made. And, you know, and when Wolf hadn't turned, he was 32 weeks and he hadn't turned. And
He was
I remember
breech.
he was breech. And there was always this issue, you know, Steve is 6'4" and I'm 5'4". And, I remember we saw Dr. Crane at one point and he was like, well, we might have to be a little bit more involved with your baby than you would like. And I said, why? And he goes, well, your baby might be a little too big for you to deliver. And I go, well, but I thought my body won't produce a baby that I couldn't deliver naturally. And, you know, it was another one of those looks that I got from the doctors. And Yvonne, I told Yvonne, she's like, that's horseshit. Don't listen to him. And then we came to you.
Yes.
Yes.
And we met.
And
on my intake form, it says name and then nickname. And you put
What's
Sarah
your-
Shahi. What?
What's the nickname?
Well, she put Cutie Pie. Is that what you put? And so I didn't even know
I
that,
do.
because a lot of times the women come alone to the office. I didn't even know the guy next to you was your husband. And I thought I'd just be funny. And I came out and I'm like, cutie pie? And you're like, oh, that's me. And Steve basically got up with his muscles flexed. Like, who the hell is this guy?
No, you know what?
No,
He had a
that was
very
accurate.
Surprised look.
That was pretty
No,
accurate.
but you know, this interest, and this is why, like Steve and I, now that we have 13 kids, and,
Yes,
you know,
orthodox.
and we talk about vasectomy and stuff. The best I've ever felt in my life is when I'm pregnant.
Really? The first time or with the twins?
Every time.
You love being pregnant.
I love being pregnant, and even with the twins. I mean, I was nauseous 24 hours a day for the first 13 weeks. Nothing I did made it go away. You know, Dr.
Acid
Fischbein
reflux.
and everybody else told me to eat. I'm like, I don't want to eat. I can't eat. I want to vomit when I eat, but they're like, eat. You know,
That's
it's
never
like,
happened to me. People are like, come on, eat, just eat. Never happens.
But I loved it. I loved every part of it. And this is, you know, from somebody who never wanted to have kids.
Yeah.
And so I just, when I'm pregnant, like I wrote Cutie Pie because I just felt
You
so
felt good.
alive. I felt so
Yeah.
playful. I felt, you know, I don't know.
Just say it, horny. Just say
Yeah,
it.
that's right.
Just say it already.
I don't know. I just felt
Wow,
very much alive. I felt like I was in tune with my purpose, if that makes any sense, you know? And
Well, I think it kind of is. Like, we only have, every living thing has four things in common, right? We are born, a cycle. There's a life cycle. We're born, we get bigger, we reproduce, and we die. Yeah, you can't really control very much birth, getting bigger, or dying. So, like, reproducing seems to be the main event. You know what I mean? Everything else seems like icing on the
hot.
cake. So, I think that when you feel that, when you get in touch with that, your purpose on the planet, we're just here for like a minute.
exactly,
And
yeah.
when you feel your purpose on the planet, a lot of women through our practice express that.
Yeah.
And then some of them are like, I feel like absolute total crap and
Right.
I'm never doing this again.
Right,
And then 2 years later, they forget and do it again.
right.
How did you
right.
feel, Kira, during your pregnancy?
You know, I traveled like I normally did. You know, as a comic, I'm on the road. And so I didn't stop, which I was worried and nervous. And I asked, you know, my doctor and he was like, just do what you do. Just, if you're already traveling, that's what you're comfortable with. And so I went to South Africa with my first pregnancy. I went to Israel with my second pregnancy, and then everywhere in between, just domestically, obviously, the longer in gestation I went, I didn't go overseas.
Did you have to get any shots when you went to South
No,
Africa?
no, but I wouldn't have anyway.
Yeah.
But I just did what I did, and
So it sounds like you felt the same.
I felt really good. Yes. I mean, I didn't feel like I was a cutie pie. Let's be
No.
honest.
Well, did you have a nickname that you put on your intake forms?
Disappointment to my parents, because it's so long. It doesn't flow.
That makes sense.
It doesn't flow as nicely as other ones.
Is there a Yiddish word for that?
Is there?
I'm sure there is.
The opposite of
there's-
nachas.
I think most of the Yiddish words stand for that.
Yeah. When they spit at you, everyone's like, put, that's for good luck. No, it's because they're disappointed.
That could be your
They're
nickname.
spitting. Yeah. Put,
Poo-poo-poo. I walk out and your husband, poo-poo-poo. Oh, that's my wife.
No, I did feel good. I can totally relate. But I also have a little bit of like a workaholic syndrome going, and I didn't want to stop, which I think I probably pushed myself a little too much. I mean, I did shoot a comedy special 7 months pregnant.
Did you think ever of not having a baby at the hospital?
I did. We also saw the power,
Business of Being Born.
The Business of Being Born. The Power of Being Born.
Yeah.
The Business of Being Born. My husband and I both watched it. We loved it. We thought it was great. And then I don't know what changed, but we just kind of went down the route of a hospital birth. The first one, I was just sent down the corridor that everybody talks about. My baby was 10 days late, so they put me on Pitocin, which led to epidural, and then I was on heroin. That was my choice.
Oh.
And then I'm kidding. I
Yeah.
know. But, it just down that corridor. But
You
I
must
told...
have the premium insurance.
I know.
Mine doesn't even cover
Obamacare.
Band-Aids.
But I told my doctor, I said, this baby is coming out through the lobby, not the sunroof.
Nice.
I told him, I don't care. I'll be here I'll go out into the parking lot if you kick me out. So I pushed for 3 hours, which I'm sure is pretty unheard of, right? Don't they?
Not for you.
Well, not for you. You probably are cool with that. But most doctors are like, tick-tock, I got a tea time. But I just push. I go, it's through the lobby, or I'll leave. I told him. So he's like, all right, relax. So pushed him out vaginally. And then the second one, no drugs. I mean, I seriously could have delivered her on my own. That really is not a joke when people say, be careful with the second. It was
Came fast.
So fast. And I had a doula, and I was on all fours, and I was, I had completely different.
Was it all that by
births.
choice or just because it went
Totally,
fast?
because I went down that Pitocin route
you didn't want to do it
and
again.
epidural route.
But still didn't think home birth. Like maybe
I didn't.
this baby's coming out in the living room.
I don't. Yeah, it could have. I don't think I have the nuts, the cojones, the yaitse, as they say in Russian.
You don't.
I don't. You're right. Why am I being so hard on myself?
Yeah.
I don't have.
Funny, you can stand up in front of a huge crowd of people and
Yes.
and you have the bravery to do that, but to stay home in your own living room and
Maybe that's what you
Yes.
needed.
About a baby.
Maybe you
Really
needed a
interesting.
bunch of people
I
in your living
probably
room.
needed-
yeah, you probably were like
Drinking and
30,
eating
40
Drunk
people.
food.
rednecks.
Yes.
It's actually
Baby
a
number
very
3.
good point because she is a stand-up, and so she's probably more comfortable on stage in front of a bunch of people.
Yes.
If you were on stage, you probably could have given the birth.
That's why you're better at the hospital. It's exactly like
You have to have
stand-up.
another one now.
You get the spotlight on your.
This is so true.
In
This
the
is
lobby,
so
the spotlight.
You
is
got
on
the
lobby.
spotlight, the lobby, and
Yeah.
random
We'd
people
do a special.
just coming
It'd
and
be
going.
great.
Oh my God.
I actually a special in the delivery room.
Special delivery.
Oh my
Oh
God.
God. You're welcome.
I gotta give
You gotta have one more
everyone
kid. You
again.
got a surrogate. Maybe you can surrogate if you don't want to have your own.
10%, by the way.
That's
10,
right.
Yes.
50.
Yeah.
That doesn't
50.
make
We all
doesn't
get
make
50.
math
That doesn't
sense.
All get 50%.
That works.
I don't do well at math. That's
We
why
got
I'm a
another
comic.
sponsor.
You know what? You guys are totally onto something
Special
because
delivery.
I was cracking jokes and my
Yeah.
husband was like,
Delivery
"Can
special."
you stop joking around for just a couple of minutes?" Because nurses would come in and be like, "Ooh, a new nurse hasn't heard this bit before," and I would make crack jokes, and he's like, "Why do you have to make people laugh while you're dilating and crapping yourself? Can you focus on what you're doing?"
Perfect.
Wait a second. Why wouldn't you make jokes
I
if you're
know,
dilating
I
and crapping
told you
yourself?
I have a
What's the
sickness.
alternative?
I have a sickness. I have to
You have
like
to make
talk to
jokes.
people. There was one nurse who every time she came in, I called her the vagina whisperer, and I gave people nicknames. And I like to, when the beekeeper came in with a second kid, and Oh my God, I sent her out. I go, get the hell out of here with your Ebola costume. I'm like, I can smell.
Call it a hazmat birth.
The hazmat, yeah, was she coming full headgear and head to toe?
Is that normal? Is that
At the
what
hospital.
they-
A lot of
Fairly
hospitals.
normal.
A lot of hospitals
Yeah.
still drape a pregnant woman in stirrups. They put drapes over them. They still sometimes they prep their yonis, whatever you want to call them,
What does
Yeah.
that
with
mean?
Iodine.
When
yeah,
the
'cause
whole
They
they-
prep down there your lungs.
Yeah,
They
when
didn't
the
do
whole
that for
point
me.
is really to expose the
lobby.
baby to the bacteria, and you're killing the bacteria.
Right.
There's no common
backwards.
sense in a lot of things, the way things are done in labor and delivery. You know, by the way, I was going to ask you, when you had your epidural and you pushed for 3 hours, could you actually feel like pushing, or did they just tell you that you're completely dilated and it's
Okay.
time to push?
Here's what happened. So I had an epidural, but I don't know, this anesthesiologist was like a non-union anesthesiologist.
Did you
It
miss?
wore off.
Oh.
I felt everything. I asked my husband, I go, we got to get another epidural. And he's like, those things are expensive. And I said, you get a Groupon for epidurals. God damn it.
probably can
So
now.
but they wouldn't give me any more. So I felt everything. But I did do, because I am a crunchy tree hugger hippie, I did do hypnobirthing. So that helped. I used that for both births.
You drive a Prius?
Yes, I drive a Prius. Oh,
Because
no,
Toyota's a sponsor.
but hypnobirthing, anyone listening, I don't know if you guys are into it or if you believe in it, but
What is it? What is it?
You didn't hear of hypnobirthing?
I've heard of it, but I
It's
just kind of
hypnosis for birth.
I just did my own
yeah,
thing.
you can like you say that you hypnotize yourself. Really, it's just concentrated deep.
It's
breathing.
meditation. It's more of meditation.
It's meditation.
Oh, okay.
But it's
But I-
meditation around birth. My wife used to listen to these as she was falling asleep every night, you know.
Yes.
Take a deep breath in, breathe out, relax, you know, get in touch, and you can feel your muscles relaxing. And I would do it too. I would start to relax. And then all of a sudden she would say, and now picture yourself inside your uterus. And I would just wake up like a nightmare, jump out of bed. The
Because
first
you
time
go
that
back
happened,
into your mom's uterus.
I think I was in my uterus,
Wow, that's so
which
meta.
must have been a past life. I mean, I don't think I have a uterus. I got the boobs. Maybe.
So that was my closest to having a home birth was
Right.
no drugs, hypnobirthing myself, and yelling at a medical
But you had a good
student.
experience.
Great. I loved it. I'm so glad it was different from my first.
yeah.
So happy.
That poor student is still traumatized. Just
Oh,
Get
and
the hell out of
she
here.
told my doctor, she's like, wow, your patient's kind of high maintenance. Really, beekeeper? Really?
You know, it's funny, Sarah. You said you wanted one of your measures of whether to stay with the OB or go home is, can I deliver in any position I want to? Our first kid was born at the hospital, 42-hour labor, completely unmedicated except for maximum strength Advil that I kept taking every 4 hours. And then our second kid, 2 hours. We were at the hospital for maybe 20 minutes before she popped out.
Wow.
And then for our third kid, we thought about doing a home birth, but we're like already had 2 kids in a very small 900 square foot closet, and it just didn't feel right. So we went to the hospital, and we didn't have bad hospital birth experiences. But at that point, as a doula, I'd been going to home births and seeing like there really can be so magical. I felt like we had home birth at the hospital, and then I realized you can't, because one of the key ingredients in home birth is being at home. And it's just a different environment completely.
Does every home birth have to have the pool, or is that
No,
just optional?
no.
Did you have a pool?
I did. I had our first was in the pool, and then our daughter came out in the pool. I loved the water. I mean, I remember I jumped in the tub before there was ever
Just
any
air?
water.
You had
in
an
it.
air birth?
There was it was air in the beginning. I remember he tried to check me, and I pushed his head away. I'm like, no, I want the pool. And he's like, okay, you can't get in the pool. It's not full. I'm like, yes, I can. And I just got in the pool, and Dr. Stu was like, okay, Steve, fill it up. And our son, the baby, he was breech, so we were in the bed for him. We came out.
That's your third.
That was the third.
Yeah. So our third baby, there's Group B strep, which probably
Right.
should be a whole podcast by itself. But my wife was positive for it with the third and not the first two.
I
You
was
were.
positive for it with the twins.
Did you get it after
Remember?
having lunch at our house? I'm just curious.
What did you serve?
Yeah, as well.
Group B strap. They serve it.
They serve groupies.
Yeah, it's delicious with chickpeas.
How did you guys? What did you do? Did you go for the antibiotics?
Yeah,
did
so
you do
they
the garlic? What
They
did you
said
do?
like come in because our second birth was 2 hours. They just said come in right away. I didn't really even know yet. I was just getting into all the holistic stuff. I come from a pretty medical background, and my wife she wasn't all that natural to begin with. She just didn't want a big fat needle in her spine, so she's like, let me do this without that.
Yeah.
That's why we had no drugs on the first one, too. And then for this one, they were like, you better come in right away, or your baby's, going to get this big infection and die because you have group B strep. And so, because the first one was so fast, as soon as we had like 3 or 4 contractions in a row, we're like, we better get to the hospital. So we went there and they checked her, maybe 3 centimeters, gave her a shot of antibiotics, checked her an hour later, and she was only 3.5 centimeters. And they kept putting all this pressure on us, like, you're dilating so slowly. I'm like, labor just started an hour ago. We waited 9 months. Can we just wait a little bit more? And they wanted to break her water, and they wanted to, like, get things moving. And we just talked about it. I said, can we just go home? Like, we got the antibiotics. We live 10 minutes away. Can we just go home? And the doctor was so upset. He's like, if you're not going to let me do anything, you might as well just go home.
Wow.
Like, okay, great. So we went home, 4 or 5 hours, hanging out with the kids, putting them down for bed. Then things really kicked in, so we came back, and within about 40 minutes of getting there, the baby came, but my wife was on all fours, and that's what reminded me about the position. She was on all fours, and she was just so comfortable for transition on all fours. I mean, I don't know if she was so comfortable, but that was the position that she chose.
That's how I delivered mine, too.
On all fours?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have, like, the same.
The second
pretty
one.
much the same.
Yeah. The first 2 were on all fours. The Knox was on my back. Yeah.
The breech.
Mm-hmm. Why did you want me on my back, by the way?
Really, because at that point, it'd been a while, and Knox's heart rate, if you remember, was sort of starting to do some funky things toward the end there.
Oh, that's right. I remember you said something.
So I could manipulate. I could do things if I needed to do things in that position, because I flunked geometry too. so no, if I had to put forceps on, or if I had
In the
to
back.
reach in and pull the arms out like we had to.
That's right.
I've watched that video
I've watched it
1,000 times.
million times.
Right.
Your
So.
birth?
Knox's birth. Yeah, it's on my phone. You want to watch
Yeah.
it? There's some foul language going on there too.
So you reached in with your hands.
It was like Frankenstein.
Yeah, I'll show you after.
I would love. Seriously? No, seriously.
If Sarah says
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. I'm like, are you gonna ask me? It's my vagina.
It's on YouTube, Sarah. To be honest with you.
I did because you were gonna use it for teaching
Yeah.
purposes, and
That's
I was like,
and that's why I
and
saw
my
it
and my
first was-
face isn't really. You don't really see my face. There's
Just at the end.
It's
at
like
the
very
end.
when he comes up on my, and it's just like from here down. I'm going
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
and that's it.
That
And then it
ends,
cuts out.
right.
I remember
But it
that's
was
where
like
I first saw it was on Twitter. For teaching purposes. Hashtag cutie pie.
yeah. Hashtag cutie pie. Exactly.
That concludes part 1 of our Double Standard podcast. Be sure to share with your friends and visit us at informedpregnancy.com for other great pre- and postnatal information. And come back to check out parts 2 and parts 3 for the rest of the discussion.
Doctor, give me the news. I got a whole